So so welcome to the part two of we trying to solve past questions. So now we treated this whereby we add this temp. They asked us to check the error. Now we changed the enter to input. We added quotation mark here because this is a kind of syntax error. It does not obey it. Now this try there should be a column here. Then we add a variable FAHR, but here they declared FAH, so we need to add a HR there. Then we changed this because we don't want to make use of a floor division. Then this except we added the parentheses here. So that was what we did in the last video. So now the next one is they told us to write a program which prompts the users for the values of resistance of your resistor, and the current flowing through it. Compute the voltage drop using Ohm's law. So we know our Ohm's law is equals to V equals to IR. Then we have to collect the resistor value, the current value also, and compute V equals to IR. So now let us now come here. Let me comment this out so it does not affect us. Both the class and the past question solution is in this single file. So let me just comment here and let me say part 2 of solution. So now we are asked to make use of Ohm's law. So now we need to first of all create a variable called resistance. So that variable resistance we are going to be having equal to, simply because we want to collect the resistance value. We are not defining it ourselves. So now let us make it that the user should be able to enter including decimal points. So that's why I'm having this float. I'm trying to float the input. So let me have another one. Let me have the quotation here. So let me say enter the resistance value. Yeah, let me put in brackets. Let me just type ohms. Yeah, so in brackets ohms. Then let me have this. Let me have a space here. So the next thing I want to deal with is the current. So the same thing. So the current may want to include decimal. So I don't want it to be rounding it up. So that's why I want to calculate the decimal point also. So let me have enter the current value. So I can add, let me just add the units also, which is amperes. I've added the unit already. So this, yeah. So now we have both the variables already. Now the next thing we want to do is for the voltage drop. So now let me make it a voltage underscore drop. Remember, it must not have a space or any special character. So I'm using an underscore. So voltage drop is equals to, that voltage drop will now contain the calculation of the formula of Ohm's law, which is V equals to IR, which is resistance times the current, or the current times the resistance. Anyone, it is commutative. So I just need to print it. Let me print it. Let me make use of something here, then I'm going to explain it later on. The voltage I made use of something here, a formatting string literal. So I'm going to explain that just for in case you meet it elsewhere. So now you will notice that I placed an F before it. Now what this F does is that it helps us to be able to call a variable inside of a string. So this F is known as F string or formatted string literal in Python. It just allows you to be able to embed expression inside a string. So if I should run this code now, let me raise it up a little bit. print voltage underscore job. So let me run it. It is still running. Let me see. So yeah, it is asking me to enter my ohms value. Let me say 1.2. Enter the current 2.1. So it is saying voltage drop. So now you see that simply because the variable here is different from this, so I need to change this to a capital letter. You must be very, very careful. Then we run it again. Then we wait for some time. It will show it. So let's enter the value 1.2, 2.1. So it is giving me the value of the voltage drop already. So this is the solution to that particular question. Let me comment it out. I will put this file into this code into a file, including the classes, everything. I'm going to put it into a file, and we'll be able to see it. Let's go to the next question. So we're almost done. This is the last page. I'm sorry. So differentiate between single slash, double slash, and this modulus. Now, the single slash, it is used to do normal division. It will divide the left operand and the right operand and return a floating point. For example, now, if I say print 5 divided by 2, what we should be expecting is 2.5 now. This 5 divided by 2, it should return 2.5 because it is going to be returning, I don't know why the system is running slow. Let me pause the video and I will start it. Okay, I don't know why the system is actually giving me, it's actually running slow. But you can try it. If you use a single slash, it's going to be giving you a floating value. So it will divide the left operand and the right operand and return a floating value to be 2.5. Now the slash slash is the double, this double slash slash here. It signifies floor division operator, and I've explained that before. So I made us to understand that it will divide the left operand by the right operand, and it will return an integer value. For example, that same 5 divided by 2 that is giving us 2.5 for this first one is going to be giving us only 2. Then for the modulus operator, it's returning the remainder, which is 1. 5 divided by 2 is going to be 2 remainder 1. It will return that. So they told us to observe this code very, very well. Then rewrite the ones that does not have error. So let me pause the video and rewrite the code. Then I will rewrite the correct one, then we will compare it. Or I just thought of let us just let me just show you here, because I tried, my ID is running slow, but make sure you practice it. Now the first thing is that you will notice this def. Def, as we all know, it is a keyword in Python. So, but it is not written this way. All is in small letter DEF. This is the first error that we see here. Then now, the next one is that, okay, we have x is equals to input something, blah, blah, blah. So we can even convert this one to integers. We can just have int into bracket, input, collect this one. So we now said if the absolute value x equal to this. Now this equal to is wrong because single equal to is used for what? Assignment. So you have to add one more equal to so it can be compared in. So we say the absolute value of a is equal to x, that is if the value is equal to this. It should print, now in this place there's an error simply because what? There's no brackets. There's no parenthesis in this print. This is the next error. Else. Now in this else there's an error because there's no colon. You have to insert a colon here also. Then we have x equals to x times minus 1. This one, you can, instead of you making use of this, you can just say x should be equals to minus x. So you get, instead of you making use of this long notation. If you have just x times minus 1, it's still minus x. So you can just have x equals to minus x. print, there's no parenthesis here. You have to denote that parenthesis also. So those, and this particular one, you have to, I don't know, is this C or O? But if this is C, you have to be sure that you have to change this one to C. You must be careful of the function name also. You must be careful of the function name. Now, this is where work is going to be. We are going to be writing a code now. So they said a triangle can be classified based on length of its side as equilateral, isosceles, or scaling. Now, all three sides of an equilateral triangle have same length. An isosceles triangle has two sides and at the same length, and a third side has different lengths. So we know this basic one. Equilateral, all sides are equal. Isosceles, two sides are equal, one is different. Then we have what? If all sides of the triangle is different, then it is scaling. So they said write a program that reads the length of the three sides, and it will now display a message of the type of triangle that we are dealing with. So I will be taking us gradually so we can be able to understand it. So now, what we want to basically do is that we want to write a code that will be telling us the type of triangle based on the values the user enters, which is 3 values. So let me have a function name. Let me say def, what are we trying to do? Okay, let me have a function name of classify. Let me say classifying, let me say triangle, classifying triangle, and let me have this. Okay, now inside of here I'm going to be passing in 3 parameters. Let me have a comma b comma c. Now this a comma b comma c is going to be used as the inputs whereby the user will be entering those values inside. So now I've declared a function. I now need to do what? I want to write the condition. So the first condition will write if A is equal to B equal to C. So what are we dealing with? So if we're having, let me have a space here so we can be able to see it. So if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, it's simply telling us that all sides are equal. What should they return? I want it to return a string. Means that what? It should tell me that this is what? Equilateral triangle. Yeah, this is the first one. Then the next one is what? We need to say 2 sides are equal, the one is not equal. So we can make use of or. So let's do that. So let's say in other programming language it can be else if, but here it's going to be elif. So elif A is equal to B or B is equal to C or A is equal to C. So what I'm trying to say here is that if any of these sides are equal to each other, you should return isosceles. You should return, I need to make use of this, isosceles triangle. Then the last one is the side. Definitely I don't need to write a condition, I just say else, what should it give me? You should just return scaling directly, which means that all sides are not equal. So let me say scaling triangle. Now we've declared the condition already. The next thing for us to do is that let's collect the inputs of the user. So let me make use of a comment hash. So let me say input length of the triangle size. Yeah, the input length of the triangle size. So let's say A, you remember, let's make it floating because we don't know if the user will want to be entering size of decimal points. So let's say floating, then the user should what? Input, and then let's say enter the length So you remember that I want to be bringing out two types. I will bring out I can okay. Let me just have it. Let me bring out. Let me say triangle underscore type. So the triangle underscore type should be equal to. I'm trying to call the function here. So that's a classifying triangle A comma B comma C. So now I've stored it inside of a variable. So let me now print out the results. Let me make use of that string again. I've explained it before. So the triangle is triangle type. So it will be checking the values and be entering them. Let me run this. The system is actually running slow. Let me see. Triangle underscore type. See. Let's run it again. It is not picking the new code that I wrote. Okay, let me check it. Okay, so it's correct. I think there's overload in my ID. There's overload in my ID. So basically, I've been trying to, it's not seeing it, and I don't want to restart it again because of the count. So it is actually correct. So basically, let us go on. So now the next one, they said that we should, question 4, explain the importance of the try and except block in Python. So now, this try and except block, they are basically used to undo exceptions. Check it. Exemption in a way that if you are trying to undo a block of code, it will be able to catch and undo the error. Check it gracefully. In case the error occurs, it will know how to undo this very, very well. So that is that. Then write a program to prompt the user for hours, rate per hour, gross pay, and it should a sample run of a code should display the following. So this one, they just told us that we should write a code that will do that effect. So let me have this here. Let me divide the screen into two, so we'll be able to see what we are asked to write. Okay. Don't forget, every details of the question is very important. So they said that what it should prompt the user. So you don't need to just start writing the code. We need to collect data from the user. So let me have hours equal to, let's add a float. We don't know what the user wants to use. Maybe it's a decimal value or any other. So let's say float input, and let's have enter. Let me say you should enter the hours. And let me duplicate this. Let me have to, because we are collecting hours. Then the pay should be let me have the rate first. Let me say rate. So let's prompt the users to enter the rate. The rate, yeah. Then the next one wants to do is the pay. Now the pay should be that, okay, definitely we want to be performing the operation of the pay. So pay is basically the hours times rate. So we just have the function hour, the variable hours multiplied by the rates. Then let's print our results. So printing the results, let's make use of that string format. I kind of like it though. So pay, let's say column, let's have this, then we should be having our pay. So let me see. It is still giving me the same grade, but so far it is actually taking this color green. Definitely our code is very correct. So this is basically the answer for this. Then the next the next question that is given to us, let me expand it for us to see. We're given a question and we are asked that rewrite the code. So we're asked to rewrite this pay code using try and except error. Okay. So basically, let me just expand it. Since I have the code here, I want to rewrite it using try and except error. So the try is for the main code, and the except is for exceptions in case an error occurs. So you just basically, let me have this here, so I'll be conscious of the timing. Yeah, 8 minutes. So I basically have to say try. So what do I want it to try? I want it to try all of these things that is here. So I'm going to have it to try everything that is here. Then I need to accept. Let me have it to accept. Let me have it to accept. Then let me make use of. Okay, let me just say accept the value error. So what do I want it to do? It should print out an error in case an error occurs. So let me just say print error, basically this is just how simple try and accept is. This is how simple it is. So let's see. State reasons why dividing the program into functions is important. Now, 3 reasons. The first one is modularity. So I call it modularity in the sense that it will be making it very easy to understand, to manage, and to debug. Then the second one is reusability. It will allow you to be able to reuse the code without duplicating codes. So if I want to use a particular code, instead of me writing all the old code, I can just call the particular function. Then the last one, maintainability. So you can actually use it for simplifying maintenance or updating of the code. So write a code which returns the value of charge stored in a capacitor that has a capacitor and fire. So basically they are asking me to write a basic charge. So charge is equals to QV. Q is equals to CV. So we are going to be having charge to be equals to voltage times the capacitance. So they told me to write a function. So I'll just say let me just say should calculate underscore charge. So calculate underscore charge. What do I want to collect? Parameters of voltage and capacitance. Yes, voltage and capacitance. Then I have my column. Then I need to draw the charge, which is going to be the voltage times the capacitance. Voltage times capacitance. Yes, times the capacitance. Then I need to return the charge. So basically they just ask us to just write a function that can perform that particular operation. So this is going to be your answer if you are asked to write a function. Very simple and very easy. So let's see. Okay, this one is actually long. They say create a list named my data, having items comprising of your surname, your matric number, sex, age, and a list of your surname of your 2 best friends. Write syntactical correct Python code to extract each of the following my data. Your surname, okay. You are asked to extract the surname, your sex and age, your matric number, and your first name, and replace your surname in my data with your first name. Okay, so basically what we are asked to do is that we should create a list. So let me have this. I just hope this time will be enough. Or let me write the code because of the time. Because if I'm writing it, as I'm writing it, the time will finish, and I don't want to exceed this video. So let me write the code, and I will pause it, and I will come back and I will explain it. So basically, this is what we're asked to do. I've written the code. It took me quite of time. So now we're asked to create a list. So I've created a list having Awofesobi, my surname, index 0. This is matric number, index 1, age, index 2, gender 3, and surnames of my friends 4, 5. So now, they told us to extract and assign the variable. You will see I made use of comments, which is actually a good way of you writing your code for it to be readable and understandable. So now, I'm extracting it now. This my data 0. This is it here. So this is my surname. I stored it into a variable called surname. Matric number, data 1. I stored it into a variable called matric number. This is matric underscore number. Then the age, my data 2, stored it inside of age. Then the surnames. Now these surnames I used a kind of, you are not strange to this again. Starting point 4 and finishing at 6. So you see this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is going to start from here and it will finish at the end. So now they now told us to replace the surname with the first name. So my name, I am replacing my data 0 with peace. So now if I should print out this surname variable, it will give me my surname. If I print out this matric number variable, it will give me this matric number. If I print out this age, it will give me this age. If I print out my friend's surname, it will give me these names that are here. Now, if I now print out this updated my data, I have changed the value here. I've changed this first name here. I've changed it here already. So by the time I print it out, it will give me this piece will be inside of here and it will print out everything like that. So yeah, we've been able to solve this particular question, and I will leave the code inside of a text file so that you will be able to go along with it. But practice it. I had issues with my IDE. I'm sorry about that. I would have really loved to show it to us. So I will just sort it out after I end this video. So basically just practice it so you can be able to know your way around it. I'm sorry it took a while because I was actually busy also, but better late than never. So thank you very much. My name is Awofesobi Kolade Pace. So see you next